Hi friends, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're all in for a really special guest garden tour. We're headed over to the Netherlands, which is a USDA equivalent of Zone 8B, to visit Linda, who is the owner of the gardening channel, The Lady Gardener. So let's get a full tour of her beautiful garden that she's built out from scratch, and then I'll meet you back here in my garden to tell you a few other things about her.
Thank you so much for having me on your channel, Danielle, and welcome to my garden in the Netherlands. It is an absolute honor and I would love to show you my garden. Now, this is my favorite spot in the garden, to have a cup of tea in the early morning sun and just enjoy the garden. Now it is spring, so the garden is slowly waking up. So to add some color to the garden, I have filled these terracotta pots with spring bulbs. And I absolutely adore spring bulbs. And I love the combination of the soft apricot tones of the daffodils and the tulips. Now in summer, this part of the garden is an oasis of flowers with plants like zinnias, cosmos and dahlias, all in soft pastel colors. I absolutely adore this daffodil named Petit Four. It has a trumpet filled with petals in a beautiful apricot color. The daffodils combine very well with this tulip named Apricot Pride. I love the combination of apricots, soft pinks and whites with the green backdrop of the hydrangea Annabelle. Here and there I added a splash of orange and blue. I absolutely adore dahlias. They add color to the summer garden and come in so many forms and colors that there is a dahlia for everyone. I designed the garden myself from scratch and it is only 90 square meters. Now this is the main path of the garden and it divides the garden in 4 parts. At the back the little seating area, and then at the front and at the back I have a terrace, one for sun and one for shade. And in that corner I have a little vegetable garden. Now between the 2 terraces I have a border with box domes and behind it another small border. Alongside the path I have white roses growing that flower from June to well into autumn. Between the box domes and in the border behind it I grow lots of hellebores, as this is the main view from my kitchen window. The yew hedges form the main structure and together with the box domes they add winter interest to the garden. In summer the border contains mostly white flowering plants like roses, foxgloves, hydrangeas and dahlias. On the terrace I have 2 sets of terracotta pots that I try to keep in flower throughout the year. That is why I use plastic containers in my terracotta pots, so that I can easily swap the plants without disturbing the roots when they have finished flowering. In summer the pots are filled with white flowering agapanthus. As they are not hardy, I store them in the garage during winter. There's also a side table with lots of small pots that I filled with spring bulbs, annuals and evergreens. In summer the terrace has a more tropical feeling with eucomis, agapanthus, ferns and hostas in the background. I also have a little vegetable garden where I grow things like strawberries, beans, peas and lettuce. During the winter and spring I set up a small polytunnel where I grow lettuce and where I keep my seedlings and dahlia tubers protected from the cold, wet weather. It is easy to set up, so as soon as there's no risk of frost anymore, I remove it and store it for next year. There's nothing better than growing and picking your own fruits and veg, straight from the garden onto your plate. Although it is a very small garden, I try to grow as many varieties as possible and make the most out of the space that I have. Now it is the time of the year to start planting dahlia tubers into containers. Depending on your climate, you can also plant them directly into the garden when there is no risk of frost anymore. Place the tuber onto the soil and fill with compost, making sure that the stem is just visible above the soil. I will plant these into the garden mid-May. On my terrace at the back of my garden, I have a second polytunnel where I grow most of my dahlias and in autumn my spring bulbs to protect them from the rain. Last year was the first time that I grew dahlias and I was thrilled with the result. They start flowering and keep on flowering when most of my perennials have finished flowering. I highly recommend growing dahlias and annuals like cosmos if you have a small garden. It gives you so much color and pleasure that simply isn't possible with perennials in a small space. I hope you enjoyed seeing my garden. Thank you again so much, Danielle, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing your beautiful garden with all of us. Friends, I'm going to put a link to Linda's YouTube channel and her Instagram, The Lady Gardener, in the description section below. And I really hope you'll subscribe to her channel and support her in whatever way that you can. And I want to send a personal thank you to Linda for sending us such a beautiful video to watch and listen to. When I first saw the video, I felt like I was watching an episode of Gardener's World because the way that she presents about gardening and shows her garden and the way that she captures it on video is just so beautiful, and the quality is just so high that it's really a blessing to have such a high quality creator here on my channel. And I hope that we'll all gather around her and support her in the coming growing season. But for now, Grace and I want to wish you a wonderful day out there in your gardens. We have lots of guest garden tours coming this year, and Grace and I will see you back here at North Lawn sometime really soon. Bye, friends.